Hey, cheers. It's Sunday, so we're enjoying some margaritas while doing some videos for you guys. We're gonna cover my race simulator. A lot of guys use this in the community that I'm in for racing because it's good practice. And the biggest benefit and why we wanna go through this is for going to tracks. For example, my first race I had a Radical RXC GT3 card. And I used this to learn Sonoma first because that's where I was taking possession of it. And I'm lucky I did because you have a lot of, after the straight, you have a left and a sort of a right-hand turn. The apex, you go over it and you can't see the exit of the apex. So it sort of closes off. So, and actually when we were testing that day for the first time in the car, somebody actually went off there. But it's a great way to learn tracks. iRacing is what I use. I think by far it's better than the other options. The benefit with iRacing is they do obviously a 3D topo of the track. You'll feel every nook and cranny of the track, all the bumps. With motion especially, I could see how people are like, hey, I don't see how it transfers to training race simulator to a race car. But with force feedback and having like the D-box that I have for motion, you really get sort of the seat of your pants feel of what the car is doing. So it helps me personally. But getting back on point, like for Sonoma, for example, it really helps you get to know the feel of the track. So for example, within 3 laps of me being at Sonoma in that car, I already knew where I should be, braking zones pretty quickly, where I'd be safe on the track. If I went there without knowing the track, I'd be personally screwed because you'll never keep up with anybody. It's a dangerous track, believe it or not, for a car that weighs 2,600 pounds with 650 horsepower, because those blind rights after the straight will bite you if you're not on it and know your race line. So for that reason, it helps you with your race lines. And then also my first race was at Circuit of Americas. Killer track. Unfortunately, we had rain, and this was before our time of doing the YouTube channel. But again, I used the race simulator for that, and within 3-4 laps on that track, I already knew it. I knew everything of braking, where the turns are, the race lines, and it just helps you so much as a race driver using the race simulator for practice before you're going to that race that weekend, or even doing a track day. So anybody that's interested in traveling and doing races, or even just track days, a race simulator is your friend. I mean, huge benefits. You're gonna be so much more competitive, have better lap times, and know your race line by having the race simulator. What else is important? Oh, another fun fact with this thing is you really should do the iRacing racing. You started in like a Miata, and then you build your level from your not taking people out, not hitting other cars, doing better in the races. You don't have to win, but your build points and you'll build up to better cars. And I think I'm at maybe 370 for where I am in an A driver right now. I don't do it often, but I probably get in here and do maybe, I'll go a month without using it at all, and then I'll go 1 week where I'll be on it 3 nights, you know, and do like a race that week. So it's a ton of fun doing it. If you want to find me on here, I'm Walter Fair, and I'm like Western region. So I didn't know that they just use whatever credit card or whatever you pay to use your name or whatever, I think. So that's why it has Walter. That's my first name. But anyway, so doing the race series as well, if you guys are serious, will actually help you because it makes you learn also to keep your head on a swivel. When I started, I used a VR, and that was awesome because wherever you look, you see all the cars around you. So The VR is really cool. I never got sick on it, but a lot of friends that have used it, I've had a friend get sick in like 20 minutes of using it and threw up. So like, you know, I don't know if they don't breathe or what's going on where they're getting dizzy and having like motion sickness, but I guess that's a thing when using VR. And even with the triple screens, I've had people feel like, oh, I'm getting dizzy. And it's like, well, make sure you're exhaling and inhaling, just like when you're in a race car. So a lot of people will tense up because you're under stress. And it's funny, we'll have tons of friends that will sweat their asses off on this thing when they're on it. So it proves that there is some intensity with it. When I have guys that are really solid guys, athletic, and they're sweating being on the race simulator. So pretty funny. Let's see here. What else do you want me to
You want to talk about the specs of the setup?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's walk around that. I started with a different box initially, which you could do with the VR. But I wanted to do the triple screen because so many of my friends were like, oh, it's so much better. I had so many friends using it that were getting dizzy where they couldn't be on it as long. So I'm like, hey, I'll get a better triple screen setup. And I'm a big visual guy, so I want good quality. So we went to a Corsair box, and the Corsair box, it's a 3090 RTX, has a i9 10th gen, 4 terabytes SSD, and 64 gigs RAM. And then with that, if you scan to the triple screens, those are Samsungs, and I went with the 32-inch. It was the best option where I could still pull a lot of frames per second. If I go too big, I'd lose the quality of the picture. And when we do video, we're gonna do Road America in a P217, which is one of my favorite cars to drive, besides like a GT3 Cup or a Super Trofeo GT3 car. But you get a lot better quality, and we'll watch the frames per second. Like right now, staying still, we're at 200 frames per second. But these are the 240 hertz, 1440p's. They're about $700 a monitor. The curved I love. I think it not only looks cool, but serves a purpose. And if we go to the steering, that is a direct drive. It's a SW20 V3, and you definitely want that force feedback. It definitely helps you in knowing what the car is doing. And then from there, we could go to the pedals. They're Ricmotech, the GT Pro 3s, Gen 2s. The pedal for brakes is a little touchy, but I still like it a lot. And the reason why I went with those with my Radical car had the same Tilton setup. So I tried to emulate the best I could of what I was driving. And then for the cockpit, we did a P1X for the chassis. And I think that's an amazing chassis. It's easy to add to. You can see I even added like a cup holder, and they have a lot of cool things that you could use, even down to like putting your VR headset right here. So really, really cool setup. And then with that, for motion rig, we did the D-Box, and that's the 4250i. And the biggest benefit for this is motion. It just brings the fun factor up so much more. I have friends that come here and use this and do not have motion. And once they do motion, then they're like, holy shit, like I wouldn't get off this thing. And that's the biggest difference is once you go to motion, and I know there's some motion that you could start at like maybe $3 grand, $5 grand. This unit runs about 14,000 just for the D-Box. It has 2 boxes. It does extremely well. You get a lot of feel. I don't have it turned up too much, but enough that I get a lot of feel, like seat feel, to know what the car is doing. And it just makes for such a fun car to drive, no matter what you're driving. The shifter, I had a Z28R Camaro that I bought last year. You'll see a couple of our YouTube videos that I raced. I just sold the car, but great car, just too heavy of a car for a race series. I was going against GT4 Cup competition Porsches that weigh 300 pounds and are just like 15 horsepower less than mine, but they would just eat me in the turn. So we sold that. We're looking right now for if anybody knows and can help me, Lamborghini Super Trofeo Evo, and that will be our next race car. And we're also going to try and get it street legal. Just take to cars and coffees, things like that. But stay tuned for that. We'll try and do a whole video once we take possession of it, things like that. But that'll be hopefully here. Hopefully we'll get in the next 2 months. They've been actually really hard to find for the demand. I tried to get an Evo 2, the new version. They only made 44 of them and they were oversold. So the demand right now for racing, if you guys are in the car market, race car market, is just insane right now, from GT4 Cup cars to Evos. I mean, everything's in demand right now, from cars to race cars. So I don't know where everybody's getting their money, but everybody's spending a lot of money right now. So anyway, let's jump on. We're going to do, I'm going to warm up the car, because just like iRacing, which is great, you actually jump in the car and you're running on cold tires. So to not bore you guys, we'll probably do a few laps just to get the car up to speed and warm. And then we'll do some video in the P217 on Road America, and you can see how fun it is and get a little bit of the motion. Counter steering a little bit in that car. If you see me sawing at the wheel a little bit, that's just quick ways to sort of keep the car going straight. And that's another big thing with being able to take a simulator to the limits, and you don't have to worry about crashing a $300,000 car, because you're able to push any car that you go. And same with like GT4 Cup owners, GT3 Cup car, a lot of guys are racing those. You can practice this and not worry about crashing your $200,000, $300,000 race car. So definitely worth the money doing this. And again, the biggest benefit is just knowing the tracks before you get to the track. So let's get on the race sim and get it going. All right, so we're on Road America in a P217, which I love driving this car. I was considering doing a Ligier LMP3 car for purchase, but I think I'm gonna stay with the Super Trofeo Evo. I think it'll be a better car overall for me. A friend of mine, Paul Tracy, that you guys might know, he has one, he absolutely loves it. Had a Super Trofeo Evo before. But I think this is gonna be probably my next car after the Super Trofeo. But you can see here, you're getting a lot of little feedback in the seat. You might not tell in the video, but you get a lot of all the little bumps. Force feedback is really good. A little counter steer in the wheel, which is amazing. So it really helps you a lot in learning the track and handling the force feedback. And so I lost a lot of speed there and scrubbed a lot of speed there, but it's so much fun to drive these cars in this. Another thing that I like to do when driving this is using your left foot. So this is a great way to learn your left foot braking, because I could be on the brake and gas at the same time if I need to. But if you watch in the lower left screen, I'm sometimes almost immediately or at the same time on the gas and brake, coming in and out of turns, and it just helps you to be so much more proficient and faster. So we'll see here.
Sector 1 time is good.
So you're so quick doing that instead of just doing right foot to gas to brake. It's just the smarter way to drive. All the big drivers, that's what they do. And once you get used to it, you're so much faster doing that. So that's what I would recommend getting used to on the race simulator, because it's definitely going to give you quicker lap times. Oh! But this is so much fun. But it helps having the motion. So, all right, so we'll do one lap real fast without me talking too much and just focusing on driving like there. I should have shifted. And we'll go from there. So broke a little too early there. Trying to use as much of the track as possible to keep my speed.
72 times okay.
Ah, too much. Usually should be in second or third gear coming out of there, but I came in too hot, so that sort of screwed us. You see that we're losing 30 plus seconds on the straight now. You're always better off going slower in a turn and faster out on long straights, because that's where you're gonna make your time up.
Sector 3 is 0.48 off your best.
So I came in too hot and I lost all that time on that straight. So that's really important to come in slow in and fast out, especially on long straights. So you'll see here I came slow in, fast out, so now I'm gonna have better straight time, which will give you a better overall time by not coming too hot into that turn.
Sector 1 is quick.
Too hot, too hot. All right, well, that is a good way to end it. I tried to brake at 2 instead of zone 3, and watching those markers and too hot. But at least I'm not crashing a $300,000 car. So I can hit the restart button and start fresh again and push my limits. If I was fully focusing, I'd definitely have better lap times than trying to talk and everything of what's going on. But our best was a 155.8 in a P217 car, Road America. If you can, beat me on that and post your time. I'd love to see it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Any questions on setup or recommendations for my build, let me know. You know, you can start with a simulator for 800 bucks and then build from there. Anybody that does have money, there's a lot of options for you to build off of. I'll put a contact below. Jeff is the one that initially helped me get everything set up. He's done from NASCAR racers to other professional race car drivers. And I'll put his link below, his email. So you could always send him like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I love to race from dirt to road. And he could build you a good quality package that'll afford your budget. So like my initial budget was, I think, 18,000. And then now we're at 30,000 because we improved our Corsair box. Obviously did triple screens. We upgraded our pedals. So you can slowly upgrade your pieces to the race simulator to get you what you want. The biggest thing is you want to have decent pedals. You definitely want to have good force feedback for steering. And then I definitely would recommend motion. It will definitely give you a lot more feel, and it's a game changer going from non-motion to motion because you're really feeling what the tires are doing, and it'll help you. There's no way having a race simulator will hurt you. It's always going to help you with learning tracks and just becoming a better driver. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. subscribe. We have a lot more fun content that we'll be posting soon. So thank you for following.